A song Dickie Betts wrote from our second album, in memory of Elizabeth Reed.
I've played guitar for more than 40 years. Today I'm going to show you how to play the beloved Allman Brothers instrumental from 1970 in memory of Elizabeth Reed. Good morning, and thanks so much for coming by to play some guitar with us here on the couch. Boy, do we have a good one for you today. Special thanks to my very good friend DJ for his help in that playthrough intro. In memory of Elizabeth Reed, first appeared as a 7-minute instrumental on the brothers' second album, Idlewild South, in 1970. But it was 1971's Live at the Fillmore East that made the song a live show fan favorite and the band a household name. Inspired by Benny Goodman and written for a lady who captured the hearts of more than one rock star at the same time. Stick with me after the lesson and we'll talk more about the song, the band, and a whole lot more. For now, let's jump right in and learn that hypnotic intro riff. We are in standard tuning today. The song is going to start out with an E minor, but instead of an E minor up here like an open chord, or instead of even an E minor here like a full bar chord, what we're going to do is we're just going to play a portion of that bar chord. So we're going to take the G string, the B string, and the E string from that, and we're just going to do this little stair step. We're just going to play strings 3, 2, and 1, the G, the B, and the E string. So my index finger is on the E, my middle finger is on the B at 8, 7 on the E, 8 on the B, and 9 on the G with my ring finger. Just going to strum down those 3 strings. That's the first chord. The second chord, I'm going to let go of all that. I'm going to go down here to 5, and I'm going to bar strings 3, 2, and 1. And I could just play that because that's an A minor triad, but I'm going to get one more note in here to thick it up. I'm going to roll my ring finger over, and I'm going to push down on the 7th fret of the D string. So I'm playing D, G, B, and E. That's the second chord, A minor. So then we go back to our E minor, our little stair step. Now we're going to let go again, and we're going to go same position we were here. This is an A minor, up 1 full step or 2 frets. That's going to be a B minor. So that's the other chord we're going to play. So it's... One guitar plays it that way, the other guitar plays it a little simpler, and I want to show you both ways because I know it can be, especially if you're pretty new to playing, going from this to getting your fingers in the right position for these is a little bit difficult. But the other guitar is just playing strings 3, 2, and 1. He starts out at the 12th fret. Then he goes down to 5, back to 12, to 7. Right? So he's actually playing the same chords, but it's just a different version of that triad. A triad means 3 notes. A chord is at least 3 notes. So a 3-note triad right here and right here. The notes are just in different orders, but it's the same notes. So if that's the easier part to play, then that's okay. But you should try to master them both as you go. It goes through that 3 times, and then it goes into what they call theme 1, or what most tabs and instructors will call theme 1. It's this first little part, and the first lick goes. So that's the first part to it, and then we go down here. We go into all that, but that first part is kind of comprised of really a few licks. The first lick is. Maybe that's 2 licks put together, but that's the first little piece, I guess. So we're going to slide on the G string up to the 9th fret. Then we're going to go to 8 on the B string. 10 on the B string with some vibrato, a little shake there. 8, 10, 8 on the B. 9, 7, 9 on the G. Again. Always a little vibrato there. There is some nuance throughout this song, whereas you'll hear like a little slight bend up there while a note is ringing out, and that's part of the fun of it. There's one that comes towards the end of that first lick in the first time we go through it, and there's another one I'll show you when we get to the 3rd time through it, because we're going to do this theme 1, we're going to go through it 3 times here. So after that first lick, then we go to this. That's slide up to 9 again, 8 and 10 on the B, but when we get to 10, we're going to slide up to 12. And then we're going to come back down. That is 10 on the B, 7 on the B with a slight bend up, slow bend too. It's maybe a half step bend. So after the bend, then we're going to play it unbent, 7, 8, 10 on the B, and ending at 9 on the G. Again, what we've got so far. So that gets us through the first 2 licks, or the first 2 little pieces of this, and then we're going to go. That's the next part. I'm going to slide up to 7 on the D, go to 5 on the D, go to, 5 on the G, go to 7 on the G, but when we hit the 7, we're going to slide it up to 9. And then 7 again. 4, 5, 7. And then 5 on the G. So all that's mainly been on the G. After we hit that 5 on the G, we're going to hit 7 on the D and then 7 on the A. So that little part again. Doesn't ring very long. Almost immediately it goes right back to the first lick of our first little piece there. Not really a whole lot of nuance the second time through. It's just like the first time, really, without that little bend at the end of that. And I think that little bend comes at this part. I think it's right in there, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to go through that whole thing again. Start it over again. We're going to start it the third time. This time there's a little nuance bend in this part. And it hangs there for a little bit too before you have that little bend up. So slide to 9, 8 on the B, 10 on the B. After that 10 rings for a little bit, you got that quick bend up and down. Now, when we get to this next little piece on the third time through the theme, we have the first time that the two guitars go into a harmony type situation. So one guitar starts playing a different notes anyway. The first guitar still continues the same as it always has, as it did the first two times, but the other guitar is going to go. So instead of the slide up to 12 here, we're going to go to 10 on the E, 8 on the E, 7 on the E. When we get to 5 at the E, we're going to go 5, 7, 8, and then 8 on the B. There's a little bit of a rhythm to that makes up the feel of it. And then we go back down here. So after that, we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to go to 9 on the G, 5 on the G, 7 on the D, and then 4, 5 on the G. Then we're going to go. That is 4 on the G, 5 on the D, and then 7 on the A, back to 5 on the D, back to 7 on the A. So let me play through that whole little piece again for you. Then we have this neat little piece. Kind of a cool little spider walk. It's completely outside of any scale or anything that I've really played before, because you're stretching across 4 frets. You're going to start on the D string at 10 to 11 on the D string. Then we're going to scoot over 1 fret and we're going to go to 11 on the G string to 14 on the G string. Then we're just on the B string, and the only fret that we're going to hit is 13. And then we're going to go 11, 13, 11 on the E string, ending back at the 13 on the B string. So that's an interesting little lick there. Might take you a little practice to get speeded up to that, but it's worth getting it right because it's kind of fun. Then we go into what is commonly known as Theme 2. Theme 2 sounds like this. That's the first lick anyway. It goes through that a couple times, then it changes. We'll show you that. So it starts out on the 14th fret of the D string. And then I'm at the 12th fret, so I'm just barring here, strings 3 through 1 at 12. Hit that 14th fret of the D, and then I go. So that's just G, B, and back to the G on the 12th fret. And that is 14 to 12 on the G, 14 to 12 on the D, and then the A. So We just walk right down the ladder there. The next time we go through it, it starts the same, but we're going to end right here. We're going to hit 14 on the G and then 14 on the D. So the whole lick. It goes through that 2 times, and then we change up. We're going to go to a stair step here on strings 3, 2, and 1 from 10 to 12. So the G string, I'm on the 12th fret with my ring finger. The B string, I'm on the 11th fret with my middle finger, and my index finger is at the 10th fret of the E string. I'm going to play. So that is strings 3, 2, 1, back to 2. And then with my pinky, I'm going to play the 13th fret of the B, and then I let go and I play the B string again, which is covered at the 11th fret by my middle finger already. And then I have, so that is 12 on the G, 10 on the G, 12, ending at the 11th fret of the B string. So far. And then we start it over. So that is strings 3, 2, 1, and back to 2 again. We're going to play the pinky string again here at 13 on the B, but we end at 12 on the G. So the whole thing. And a little bit of nuance when they switch up. It's a little bit slower and more defined than it is when we're up here in this position. So we do it 2 times here, we do it 1 time there, and then we come back to a 4th time right here. And then we go into this other part. We're going to play that twice. That is 4 to 5 on the B string. Do that twice, and then you go to 5. So it's back to 3. And then we start over. But this time, instead of going up to 5, we're going to come down to the G string, and we're going to play 4 and 5 there on the G string. Goes through that 2 times, kind of slow like that. The other guitar, the second time through, as he's coming to the when he's playing that, you have the other guitar playing 10, 12, 10 on the B string. After the main guitar goes through it 2 times, we have this. That is 5 to 4 on the B string, and then 7, 5, 4 on the G, and then 5 to 7 on the D. And then we have this. This is kind of a Jimi Hendrix chord, is what a lot of people call it. It's kind of a 7 chord. So it's here at the 7th fret. I've got my middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string. I've got my index finger on the 6th fret of the D. And I've got my ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string. So that's kind of a bluesy 7th chord there. And then I'm going to lay my pinky down on the 8th fret of the B string. So it gets that nice, full, thick blues sound in there. So that whole little thing together. And then we go into the solo, which we'll talk about right after this. BB and I wanted to thank you for watching our video. We appreciate your time and your interest. If you like what we do, please click the thumbs up below and subscribe to our channel. If you find this video beneficial, we gratefully accept tips in any amount at our Buy Me a Coffee page, which you can find linked in the description. You can also support us at riffsfromthecouch.com, where you'll find our t-shirts, stickers, and Boss Katana Mark II tone patches I created specifically for these videos, including the Allman Brothers video you're watching right now. Thanks again for watching and for your support. Let's jump right back into our song. Our first guitar solo starts out at the 15th fret of the B string with a full step bend. We're going to bend it up, I think 5 more times. Might have been 6, and then we come to rest at 12 with some vibrato, all on the B string. Bend it up again and go to 12. Next time we're going to pre-bend it. We're going to bend the string and then play it and write it down. And go back to 12 again. The next time we're just going to play 12 with a slight bend on 12, and we're going to go to 14 in the G. Now we're going to play 12 again, but we're going to go down to 8 on the G. And then after a little pause, we go up to 9 on the G. So that whole first little section should sound like this. Something like that. The next lick is this. That's a bend up on 7 of the G string. We're going to hit 5 on the B. Then we go back to the G string, 7, 5, 7. Next lick is this. It's a little unusual. It's a little unorthodox, I think. We're used to going certain ways on pentatonic runs, and that one goes the other way. So we're going to bend up 7 on the G. We're going to catch the B string at 8 with our pinky. Back to 7 on the G. 5 on the E string, and then back to 8 on the B. And then we're going to do that first lick again. So the bend up at 7, catch 5 on the B string, come back 7, 5, 7 on the G. Then we go into these. So some people will tell you that there's 5, some people will tell you that there's 6, whatever sounds right to your ear. It's kind of palm muted. I'm at the 7th fret of the D string. It sounds like 6 to me, but most of the tabs say 5. So, and then you're going to go to 5 of the G string and 4. 2 at 5, 1 at 4, and I think the first time it slides back up to 5 instead of playing the 5 again. Like that. Second time we're going to go. Second time we're actually going to fret that 5 coming back. And then a third time. Next time we're going to start the same here at 7 on the D, but we're going to go to the B string. 5 twice, 4, and then back to 5. Next time we're just going to play the D string twice. 2 at 5 on the G, 1 at 4 on the G, and then we go up to the B string. 2 at 5, 1 at 4, back to 5. So that whole little part. Next time we're going to do this. And then we go into a little faster run, but that's 2 at 7 on the D, 2 times at 5 on the G, 1 at 4, go up to the B string, and then back to the G string. Then we have this. So as that comes out, it's going to be a little bit of a rhythm to it there. And then we're going to go. So the first part is 4 to 5 to 7, back to 4, back to 5, to 2 on the G string, 4, and then 3 on the D. There's a little pause with some vibrato there at 3 on the D, and then you have. So that's 2 to 4 on the G, and then you go to 2 on the D. Then we get into the first of what I consider to be kind of fast filler material. So both of these guitar solos in this song, to me, they seem like some very memorable signature kind of licks that are important, and they are tied together with real fast pentatonic runs. So the first one starts something like this. And that's where we go into that part. But it starts out, so there's 4 times at 7 on the D, a 5th time that leads us into the run. So it's 7 at the D, 5 on the G, 7 on the G, and then 5 on the B, 5 on the E, 8 to 5 on the B, 8, 7, 5 on the G, 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 7, 5 on the G, 7, 5 on the D. Then you go 7 on the A, 3 at 5 on the D. So again, that whole little piece is kind of like this, maybe a little faster than this. Then we go into this next section. That's playing 5 twice and pulling off to 4 on the D string. Then we go up to the G string, do the same thing. Then we're going to go back to the D string and we're going to do the same thing on the D, then the G, then the B. And then it comes back to 5 on the G, and that's where it rests. So our next lick is this. It's 4 to 5 on the G, and we're going to go to 4 to 5 on the B. Then we're going to hit 5 on the G, and then 4, 5 on the B again. So it's does that twice. And then we're going to pull off from 7 to 5 to 4 on the B. Come back to 5. We're going to play it a second time at 5. And then we're going to do that again. And the last time we just play it without the last little hit. And then we have one more. We're going to do that one more time. And then we're going to go into another kind of fast lick. It starts like this. That's a bend up on 7 of the G, 5 on the B, 7 to 5 on the G, 7 on the D, 5, 7, 5 on the G, 7 on the D, back to 5 on the G. And then it ends at 7 on the G. And then the next time is just bend up 7, play 5 on the B and 5 on the E, and quit. And there's a little pause. Next we have this lick. That is bend up 7 on the G, 5 on the B and the E, pull off 8 to 5 on the B, 8 on the G to 5 on the B, 8, 7, 5 on the G, bend up 7, catch 5 on the B, bend up 7 on the G, catch 5 on the B. You're going to do that 2 times. Next time we're going to go. So that's just 8, 7, 5, 7 on the D, hammer on 5, 7, pull off to 5 on the G, back to 7 on the D. Next lick we have is this. That is, I think it's 8 times at 7 on the D. And then 5 on the G. 7 to 5 on the D, going to 7 on the A. And then after that 7 on the A, you're going to go back to the D string, 5, 7, 5, back to 7 on the A again. Next lick is this. So that is 5 to 7 on the D. And then we're going to go 5 on the G string, back to 7 on the D. And then 5, 7, 5 on the G. Back to 7 on the D, and then 5 on the G. When we get to 7, we're going to bend it up. Then we have so that is going to be 8 to 5 on the B to 8 to 5 on the E. And then we're going to go 8 on the B to 7 on the E. 8 on the B to 5 on the E. 8 on the B to 7 on the E. So we're going back and forth. So I've got my pinky planted there on 8 of the B string, and I'm either going to hit 5 or 7 after every B string. So I'm just kind of going back and forth between the 5 and 7, and my pivot note is 8 on the B string there. I go through a total of 3.5 of those. Actually, it starts out on 7, then goes to 5, and then 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. And then after that last 8 on the pivot note, we're going to go. That is just 5, 5, 7, 5 on the E, hitting 8 on the B. After 7 of those, we end that passage this way. So that is 8 on the B to 5 on the E, 8 on the B to 8 on the E, 8 on the B to 7 on the E. Next lick is this. Bend up 7 on the G, 5 on the B, 7, 5 on the G, going to 7 on the D. We come back up 5 on the G, 7 on the G. When you get to 7, we're going to bend it up. Play 5 on the B and the E, 8 to 5 on the B, 2 bend ups on 7 to hit 5 on the B, 7 on the G, 8, 7, 5 on the G, hammer on 5, 7, 5 on the D. Next lick is this. 2 times at 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 7 on the D, 5 on the G. We're going to hit 7 and bend it up, and then we're going to start catching 8 on the B string with our pinky. 3 times. After that, we're going to bend up 7, come down 5 on the G, 7 to 5 on the D, We hit it one time at 7 on the A, and then we go into the next lick. That's just 7 on the A again, 5 on the D, 7 on the A, 5, 7, 5 on the D, back to 7 on the A, back to 5 on the D, and then we start into this. So that's a neat little lick that starts out at 7 on the D string. The first time through it's like this. So it's 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G, and then 7 a second time on the G, and then 4, 5 on the B. Next time it's, so that is 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G, and then 5 on the D or on the B. Next time is, so 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G, 4, 5 on the B. Keep that little rhythm to it too. And then the last one is just like the second one. It's just 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G, 5 on the B string. And that takes us into our keyboard solo. So our rhythm that plays behind both the keyboard solo and the guitar solos is this. It's that E minor. And then we're going to hit the B minor one time as we transition down to the A minor. A couple times at the A minor, we come back to the E minor. Then we're going to stay on the B minor the next time. When the song's playing, it's a lot easier to tell where you're at, so you'll be able to hear it as long as you have those down. And it's almost kind of a jazzy funk type rhythm. At the end of the keyboard solo, before we start our next guitar solo, we're going to have this. That starts out, it does it one time where it's the keyboard, which if you want to go along with the keyboard, you can do that by going the A minor, and then we're still at 5 on the E string, but I'm going to hit 7 on the B and the G. And then we go up to our stair step from 7 to 9. And now from here on out, everything we're going to do is just going to be the stair step or the bar or the bar. So it goes from down to up and then back down. It does it 2 times like that with the guitar. Guitar solo 2 picks up right there on the 5th fret of the B string. We're going to play 5 to 7 on the B, and then we're going to bend 7 up. Write it back down, and we're going to go to 8. We go 8, 7, 8, 5. And then play 5 again. So that first lick. The second time, it starts out the same, but we're going to play this bent 7 a bunch of times. And then when we get to that part, we're going to go 7 on the G string and back to 5 on the B. Now we're going to go. So that is 7 on the D string to 5 on the G string, and then we're going to start bending up 7 on the G string with some artificial harmonics. So barely have some pick sticking out, let it catch the pad of your thumb as the string rolls off. Right, you get that little bit of a squeal in there, so we have some of that going on. And then there's also some rhythm to our bends. So again, 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 7 on the G, but we're gonna bend it. So we bend it 3 times. The last time we write it back down and we go to back to 5 and then to 7. Then we're gonna start the same thing again at 7 on the D. This time, see that first time we went all the way back to 5, this time we're gonna stop at 7. The next time is gonna be this. So 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 7 on the G, but start bending it up, and then you're going to catch 5 on the B with your index finger. I believe there's 5 of those, and then we're just going to go into pull-offs from 7 to 5 on the G string. So it does like 4 or 5 of those, 4 I think. And then we come back down by going 5 on the B, 5 on the G, and 7 on the D. So next lick we have this. So that is 5 on the G, 5 on the B, 5 on the G. And then we're going to keep that finger barred there on the B and the G, and we're going to start doing pull-offs from 8 to 5 on the B and catching that 5 that we've got pinned there on the G as well. After a few of those, probably 7 or 8, then we're going to go. So that's bend up 8 on the B. Going to 5 on the B. Come back to the 8, bend it up 3 times, go to 5 on the B, and then we end up back at 7 there on the G. Next lick is this. We're going to have 4 different slight variations on that. It starts out at 9 on the G, go to 7 on the B, and then we're going to start doing pull-offs 10 to 7 on the E string. 3 of those. That goes to the B string. It's 10 to 7 to 8, and then 2 on 9 of the G string. The next one, we're going to start just right with the pull-offs on the E string. And we're just going to go 10, 7, 8 on the B. So far it's. The next one we're going to do the same as the first one, but we're just going to start with the pull-offs. And then the final one is this. So that's the pull-offs, 3 of them. 10, 8, 7, 8, 10, and then ends at 9 on the G string. The next lick is a quick little lick that transition us back down to the 5 and 7 position. We're gonna real quick bend up 9, catch 10 with our pinky on the B. So we're bending up the G. Then we're going to slide 9 to 7. And then hammer on 5 to 7 to 5, pull back off to 5, and then hit 7 on the D. Then we're going to go. So that's kind of a slow, steady, just walk down. It's going to be 7 to 5 on the D, 7, 5 to 3 on the A, ending up at 5 on the A. And then he has a little period here where he kind of noodles around at the bottom of this A minor pentatonic right here. something like that. There's a lot of 8s on the E strings, 5s on the E string, and then 5s and 7s on the A, and a 5 on the D. Noodles around there for just a little bit. Sorry that's not 100% there. And some of this too, I'll always give the disclaimer that some of this is like a little faster, or maybe I don't remember this or that quite right. So I try to get you as reasonable a facsimile as possible and as close as possible. As always, take what you like and leave the rest. The next little section goes. That is 3, 5, 7 on the A, and then 4, 5, 7 on the D. 4, 5, 7, back to 4 on the G. Then we're going to go to 7 on the A string and start kind of a similar run. That's going to be 7 on the A, 4, 5, 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G. When we get to the B, we go up to 5, and then 8 and 5. And then we're going to start that same run over. But then it kind of comes back down on us. So when I get here to the 7 on the G, I'm going to go 5, 4 on the B, and then 7, 5, 4 on the G, and then that starts us back on. Exact same lick as we did before, and then we have just some pull-offs from 10 to 7 on the E, and then there's an 8 to 7 on the B, and then more pull-offs 10 to 7. And then a couple bends up as that ends, and then we have a little lick here. So just a double hammer on and pull off, 7 to 10, back to 7. And then we come down here pulling off 8 to 10. We're going to pull off 10 to 8 on the B. And we go to 9 on the G, and then a double stop at 8 on the B and the E string. Then we do it one more time. But we have 2 times on the double stop, so. Does that several times. So it's 2 pull-offs, 1 double stop, 1 pull off, 2 double stops. And then it comes back down here, a hammer on pull off 8 to 10, and then 9, 7 on the G string, and then we're going to come up here to 15 and 12. We're going to start a long run there of just pulling off 15 to 12, and it also picks up in tempo. It picks up the speed of the pull-offs as it goes on. So I think I counted there's like 24 or 25 of these. As it goes off on, it just gets faster and faster, and it ends with 2 bends. So then we start this section again just like we ended the last solo. So it's a little bit different there on the last one. The first one starts out 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G, and then 4, 5 on the B. Second one is the same, except there's no 4 on the B, just the 5. Third one is like the first one. Last one is like this. So it's all the same except for the last few notes. So it starts the same, 4, 7 on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G. And then we go 7 on the G, 4, 5 on the B. And then 4, 5 on the G to 7 on the D. And then from there, it immediately transitions into a drum-only solo. There's no other instruments playing, just the drums briefly. Coming out of the drums, we go into the ending, and that's what we're going to talk about now. After the drum solo, our song ends by going back into theme 2. It's going to go through that 2 times just like it did before, 1 time up here. Then back to this one. And then we go back down here. Then the very last thing is it goes back to this position, and that's how the song ends. So I hope that's been beneficial. Thank you for watching. For my money, it just doesn't get better than the Allman Brothers. When asked my favorite band, I've given that exact same answer for many years now. I am very thankful to have seen the brothers live several times before they disbanded in 2014 after an amazing 45 years on the road. Today's song of study was named after Elizabeth Jones Reed Napier, a real-life Southern belle from Macon, Georgia, known to her friends and family as Bessie. She married a Confederate Army captain in the 1860s, raised 4 children, and passed in 1935 at 89 years of age. She is buried in Rose Hill Cemetery in Macon, Georgia, where Dickie Betts would stumble upon her headstone and commandeer the name. That same cemetery is now the final resting place of Allman Brothers founding members, both Greg and Dwayne Allman, as well as original bassist Barry Oakley and drummer Butch Trucks. There is some rock star lore attached to the song. The story goes that Dickie had written a song inspired by his love for a woman he was seeing at the time, but he couldn't name the song after her as he'd wanted because she was known to be the girlfriend of another famous musician, Boz Scaggs. Musically, the song was inspired by Dickie's listening to clarinetist and jazz legend Benny Goodman, affectionately known as the King of Swing. Dickie mixed Benny Goodman's use of melody with Western swing influences he'd picked up from his friend Dave Lyles, a guitarist from here in Indiana. Dickie had met Dave when he lived here in the early 60s and played in a local band called the Jokers. Here's a little more rock and roll trivia for you. That band, the Jokers, is the band said to be laying it down in Rick Derringer's classic song, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Dickie, in an interview, said that he, Dwayne, and Barry Oakley came up with the riffs, ideas, and passages while playing together, and they developed them over time, eventually coming to a point where they worked them all out in detail, note for note. For me, the song brings to mind memories of friends and loved ones who've passed. As I mentioned in an earlier video, my mom passed back in January of this year, and as we've been helping my dad to move and going through a lifetime of photographs and belongings, it's brought to mind many memories for me. It's also really helped me to stop and consider the things that we find important and place value in. As we remember those who passed into eternity before us, whether a historical person like Liz Reed, or a loved one like a parent, or even people that might be heroes to us like the original Allman Brothers members are to me, it should cause us to consider our own end. Death is not natural, but the result of a curse. Man was created to be eternal, but after the fall in the Garden of Eden, we are forced to face our own mortality. The soul that sins shall die, and that's bad news for us, because we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God. The truth is that none of us are good, not one. We've all transgressed God's laws. None of us have honored God with all our heart, strength, and minds. We've not kept His Sabbath. We've taken His name in vain. We've not always honored our parents. We've all lied or stolen something. We've all desired what our neighbors have. We've all felt hatred and therefore, as Jesus explains, committed murder in our hearts. We've all felt lust and therefore, as Jesus explains, committed adultery in our hearts. That's the bad news, because God's word says the wages of sin is death. But the good news is that the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. The good news is that if you confess the Lord Jesus with your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. God made a way for us with His Son, whom He sacrificed for us. He paid the penalty for your sin and mine personally on the cross. I fully accept His free gift, and I do believe with all my heart that God raised Him from the dead as payment in full for my personal sin. I'd encourage you to do the same. As I do every week, I'd encourage you to pick Jesus. I'd encourage you to seek him with all your heart. God's word says there is no other name under heaven by which we might be saved. The most important thing I could ever teach you is to follow Jesus. Thanks again to my good friend DJ for his help in the intro. Thanks to you so much for your time and for hanging out with us here today. We sincerely appreciate your time and your support in whatever form that may take. And we also sincerely hope to see you back again soon, right here on the couch.
Dickie Betts' song. Thank you.